Okay. Hello, Mr. Stewart. How are you?
Hi. Good afternoon, Sydney. I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah. Well,
Nice
we're
to see
here.
you.
Nice to see you too. I know. How have you been?
I've been fine
Yeah.
for a young man.
Well, speaking of that, we're here on the occasion of your 90th year young anniversary of life.
My what? My 19th, you
Your
said?
19th year
Oh,
anniversary young of life. And
19th. It sounds like 19th to me.
and being that you've reached such a milestone age, it's a good idea. Like we wanted to document, some
Yes.
of your important thoughts, and
Mm-hmm.
you've lived through a lot of history, and and history is important to our, to our to continuing our legacy, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually have some questions I have for you that I may not probably know about you, and maybe I don't know who does, but
Well, as
we're
long
gonna find them
as
out.
long as there are questions that I can answer.
I tried to keep them fairly clean. We'll see what happens. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see which way this goes.
All right. Okay.
So I'm going to start with a question about your childhood, like maybe a random question, right? Can you hear me? Yeah. Like I'm going to start with a random question about your childhood, like
For
just a
my
random
childhood.
question. Yeah. What
Okay.
was
Go
your
ahead.
favorite thing to do as a child?
As a child,
Hmm.
my memories as a child is from what age? It was
It doesn't
my first
matter.
memories of
Uh,
that I have.
like, what did you used to do growing up in Barbados? Like, what did you used to do for fun? Like, you and your friends, you and your brothers
Well,
and sisters, and
I had I am the fourth. Let me see, one, two, three, four. Was the fifth child and the first boy. So you can understand what that would be like.
yeah, exactly,
I had
exactly.
a
So a lot of chaos,
yeah,
basically.
yes,
Uh huh. A lot of
sisters
chaos.
and no brothers. So I didn't have to do very much,
No.
but I had people catering to me.
Oh, okay.
But that is in the very early stages.
Okay.
But as I got older, I had to do more.
Mhm.
You understand?
Right. Right.
And together, I think I had to do more for other people than my family. So
Mhm.
that's another story.
Oh, okay. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, like the kids these days, like what they do, they play a lot of video games and sit around. But like life was
Oh,
very different
of
back
course,
then.
we didn't
Like
have no video
yeah,
games then.
exactly. Like what
Well, the
like what did
kids,
you guys used to do for
the
fun back
kids
then?
got then we got together. We played like hide and seek and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Stuff that we used to do as kids, exactly before all this
you know,
madness. Yeah.
we played those little games,
Mm-hmm.
Mama and Papa and stuff, and sometimes you get a neighborhood person that was older than you, and he would pretend to be your father,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Right. Right.
and you're his child or something. He may only be a few years younger,
Right. Right.
but
Okay.
that's how it went. But we had good times. We
Right.
had
Right.
good
Just
times as a
playing.
child. But I mean, now you talk about during the school, the early school years. Now,
Mm-hmm.
uh, this thing started before we went to school. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
even before we actually went to school, I remember some of those times. Preschool. I remember when I was taken to school at first, and they took me. At that time, we didn't have any class to put me, and they put me to sit down by the we call it the headmaster's platform, and they just put me to sit down there by the platform, and I feel strange. Why will leave me?
They
So
this is something they did with everyone, or just
I told my mother I didn't want to go back to that school,
oh.
and
Wow.
I actually didn't go back.
No.
No, they sent me to another school.
Okay. So what was so speaking about school then, what was like your favorite subject in school? Like what did you like to study? Like did you like school? Did you what
Well,
school?
the other school that I went to, they put me in a class with kids.
Oh,
But the
okay.
first one, they must think they want to get acclimated,
Mm-hmm.
what do you call it, to the school,
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't put me in any class. But for some reason, I didn't like
They
like
didn't put you in a class.
huh?
They didn't put you in a class?
No, not right then.
Okay.
For the time was around, they just let me sit around. But that's one of the best decisions that I made. That was the first decision I made
That's
as a
really
kid.
strange that they didn't put you in a
The
class. They
first
just let you
the
sit
first
around
decision I made as a kid was to tell my mother, please don't send me back there.
to that school.
Because he sent me by another fellow who was bigger than me that took me to the school that took me there. I
Mhm.
says no. But I was very glad because the school I went to turned out to be the greatest elementary school in Barbados,
Wow.
from which I got a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So we could that connect that part of that
Right.
that
So
part
then
of it, you
speaking
know?
of, what was your favorite part of growing up in
Huh?
What was your most favorite part of growing up in Barbados? Speaking of
My favorite part of
growing up in Barbados, like what did you like about growing up in Barbados?
going back to Barbados.
No, growing up in
Oh,
Barbados.
growing up in Barbados,
Hmm.
there were so many things I don't know. This was the favorite part. The favorite parts would be as I got older, as I got older. But in Barbados, I enjoyed going to school for one thing,
Hmm.
and enjoyed learning because for an elementary school, they taught us so much at that school, that particular school that I went to, called Wesley Hall Boys School. At that time, it was a boys' school. They didn't have any girls in that school then.
Okay.
Uh, and we learned Shakespeare, we learned all kinds of things. I'm surprised at the things that I can remember, all the speeches in Shakespeare and different things I came from elementary school.
Okay.
And all other kinds of poems and stuff that I remember. I didn't even know I remember, and all of a sudden they all come back.
They
to me,
stayed with you,
all
right?
these poems, yeah.
They stayed with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I had a very good upbringing in elementary school.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that had a very that was very influential to then.
Hmm?
That was very influential to you then.
That
Those
was
shakes very influential to you, like
Yeah.
those Shakespeare classes and stuff.
Yeah,
Since you remember them
that
to this
school
day.
is known as the best school. It's almost like the college of elementary school.
Oh, okay. Well, you got a good foundation
Yes,
then.
yes, and
Okay.
I've been back there many years later, and of course it was not the same, you know. But anyhow, I got good memories of that school, but it took a long time to talk about memories at school. I learned some biology, believe it or not. We had a guy, one of the teachers, his father was a doctor, and he taught us biology about the digestive system, excretory system, and all these systems, all in early elementary school.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was
Yeah.
a great school.
That's a good. Yeah. That is a really good
It
school,
was a great school,
especially.
and show the pictures of the intestines and everything else and how it worked. Elementary school,
That is a really good. That is actually a really
and then
good like curricula to
yeah,
teach a
because
child.
at that time things were more personal. The teachers cared more about the thing. It's not like now. The
Yeah.
teachers cared about children and that the children grow and it was more personal. You know your teacher, teacher live. The
Yeah.
teacher know where you live and all
Yeah.
kind of things. There's a whole different kind of ball game.
Yeah, things have changed. Have they even changed? I mean, I know you haven't lived there for many years,
Yes.
but has it also changed? Because I mean, it's not that way here anymore, but is it not that way
Some
there
you know
anymore
your
either?
parents and stuff like that. The parents bring you in, and we didn't have the parent teachers meetings, but the teachers would know your parents and get to know them and all kinds
Yeah.
of things like that. But I have wonderful memories of my childhood at school.
Okay, that's
But
good.
then also at the school, as you got older, you learn other things. Now, you asked me about my childhood thing before I went to school. But it's interesting that before I went to school, I learned a little something about carpentry even before I got into school too much.
Oh, okay.
Even in my very early school years, before I took up anything, I learned carpentry because I watched everybody come to my house to work.
Hmm.
And that's how I learned all the things that I know. So I knew about carpentry from the time I was very young.
So it wasn't anyone in your family that led you to carpentry. It was people
No,
that used to come to your home.
it was
Okay.
was some person from my church that would come. He was a carpenter that would come to do stuff for my parents, right?
Hmm.
And he'd come to the house, and I would watch everything he do.
And see, they didn't even know what they were starting. They started a big thing.
And you can't get me to eat anything as long as he's there doing anything. James, your food is ready. All right, but I never go.
Wow.
Not till
Okay.
he's gone because I watch everything he did.
Okay.
So that when I went to school, I had some idea about that.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a carpenter shop in the school as well. So
Okay.
I would go into the carpenter shop. That was not like a required class or anything. But since I was interested in carpentry
Mm.
from a little boy, I would go in the shop where they made the blackboards and the easels and the desks and everything, and I got a better understanding of carpentry. We made
Okay.
the very desk that we use,
Okay.
made them the board, and then we painted black, and
Was
the
that your only formal carpentry training, or did you
easel and
have?
everything. Well, that my former I didn't have farmer. I went to a school to learn it,
Okay.
but I learned it from other carpenters,
Right.
not only
Apprenticeships,
not
like
only the
more.
one in the school or the
Mm-hmm.
one when it was little at home,
Mm-hmm.
but other carpenters when we moved to other places, and we had other carpenters that actually build houses and do all kinds of things. So I learned the tools. I learned a whole lot of stuff,
The best way in a
and then
profession like
I
that.
add my own abilities to it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got the idea, and then I would branch out.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's okay.
the
That's
same
like
thing
a
as I
good.
did with other trades as well. But
Yeah.
but that was the first one. But I mean, I going on talking, but you didn't ask me about this. But my first formal uh, education was in bookbinding.
Bookbinding.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was after I left elementary school
Wow. Okay.
because elementary school went up to elementary school like the seventh grade or
Uh,
something like that, and then for the most part, unless you had money to pay for secondary education, you have to go and start looking for a job.
right. I think that's a lost art, bookbinding, because
Huh?
I think it's a lost art. I don't think people bookbind the same
Yes,
way
yes, yes,
anymore.
yes.
So that's really interesting.
So, and that's the next thing, you know. So I was about 14 years old, and when I finished seventh grade or something like that, so I looked for a job, and then I went into bookbinding,
Okay.
the
You did that as a profession?
the art of bookbinding.
You
Yes,
did that? Okay.
yeah. But in
Interesting.
Barbados, the bookbinding, I learned it comprehensively,
Hmm.
and I had to fall back on it when I came here. But I knew it better than the people here because most people here you only do what do you call that? They specialize.
They do
They
they do
specialize
they
in
do
this
work
part, but not that
piecemeal
part.
here, like in factories. They do it
Yeah,
piecemeal.
but
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
back there I learned the whole thing.
Okay.
So I could. So when I came here, I could do everything when most people they couldn't do everything. You
So
see?
that's the industry you went to when you
Huh?
came. That's the industry you went into when you came here
Yes,
first, was
yes, yes.
bookbinding.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Although when I came here was something else again, because I
Yeah.
went into music. Now you see all these various things.
Well,
but
I know you
actually
were in a
want to-
band when you were. I know
Yeah.
you were in a band
That's
when you were
these
in
various things, but
Barbados.
they're all tied up together. So you can
Yeah.
hardly answer one. But
With
you
that.
want me to answer them independently?
No, I want you to answer them any way you want to. We want to learn as much about you
Yeah,
as we
but
can.
that's the way it comes to me. Because it came this way. I went to school, if you
Mhm.
want a little order. I learned certain things at home. I watched people come to work at my house. Then, from then, I got old, I went into school. And then I picked up in the school. And then when I left the school, I left with a certain amount of knowledge of carpentry. You understand? But then I didn't go into carpentry when I went to school. After I left school, I went into bookbinding. Don't know
Wow.
why I went into bookbinding, but it was a good thing to go into. And I went there. They made the exercise books. You see, so now you see, I had learned how to make the desk, I learned how to make the easels.
Okay.
You understand?
Wow.
And all that kind of thing, the blackboards. But now I'm learning to make the books.
Okay. That's funny.
So we learn to make the books. You got a machine that make the lines in the paper.
Uh-huh.
They don't make two lines, make the whole set of lines at one time. You know, the exercise book got about, I don't know, 12 or 14 lines down. the thing will draw all the lines one
Now,
time.
exercise book. What do you mean, like exercise or
A notebook for you. But other book you have here. What?
workbooks, like for
Yeah,
school?
you call it
Gotcha.
workbooks.
Okay,
If you
because
call
I
it
was like
workbooks, yeah.
exercise, like
That's what we call
like
exercise
aerobics.
books. I don't-
Okay,
but
no,
that's
yeah, yeah.
I think you're not familiar
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that. kind of
No,
stuff.
I
What is
got it.
workbooks? If
Okay.
you go to school and you have the books, and you do.
Mhm.
So once you get the paper, and then it will draw all these lines. Paper passes through this thing with a lot of different pens,
Mhm.
and it passes through the pens, draw all the lines for that page at one time.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
And then when it goes through there and it goes out, then you have to put it in a book form.
Mhm.
And if I had to go another machine that folds the paper and half of making a book. Then another one staples it in the middle. You know, you have to put it back on, another one staple in the middle, now you have a book.
Wow.
So now I learned the book too. So I had a very comprehensive knowledge of a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but all those I just told you so far went together.
Okay.
See, now I got now to do the books, but then bookbinding was not just about exercise books.
Mhm.
It was about preserving and repairing and updating all kinds of books, books and ledgers. You know, I don't know if you know about ledgers that they have in the big buildings, all these big books.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
they keep all the things from so many years. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
And people have it in their businesses too. And we made all those books too. We made
Wow.
all of that.
Big leather bound books.
We made all of that.
So your trades are part of history.
Huh?
Your trades are part of history,
Yeah.
basically.
So I, in addition to all those things, like I said, the exercise book was only one thing, but we made the ledgers and we made other little things. And we did all other little things that would come under that heading of bookbinding. But it's a wider thing than just bookbinding.
Okay.
You understand? You will restore the books, you will make new books, you will put them together, and all that stuff like that. So that was one thing within itself.
Mm-hmm.
They had printing there also, but they didn't go for the printing department and the bookbinding department.
Wow.
So you see, that's why when I had to do my book, I knew what I was talking about. I could tell people what I want. You see, and so all these things started being a good stead. You know, it was all good things for me that I could use as my life went on.
Yeah, yeah. Something always to
Yeah,
you knew
so that
something.
was-
You always had something
So
to
that
fall
was
back
far as
on.
bookbinding is concerned. And of course, we didn't have the one you know about. Yeah, you didn't even know about all those things.
What with carpentry?
Huh?
Which carpentry you mean?
No, I talking about the next thing that followed was music.
Well, music. Well, I know you were in a band in Barbados
Yeah,
when you were there. But
that was another thing. You don't want to hear about the music, do you?
sure. Yeah.
You
of
just want me
course.
to talk about.
No, I mean, no,
You
please.
You know what Enid called? You don't want me to use your term. Enid said I spill my guts.
Oh. Spill your guts. Yes, that's what we're here for. Spill it all. We want to know everything.
So-
We want to know everything. So I know. So you were in like a police band in Barbados. You were in like a police band in Barbados,
I was a
right?
policeman, of course.
So how did it
Let me
translate in
I'll
America?
I'll tell you about the police.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I'm not going to tell everything about everything, but whatever.
You will. It'll
No,
come out.
No, I will. I learned something from the last time we was here. Learn what
We'll
not
get
to.
it out of you. We'll get it out of you.
So I'll tell you how it was. So after, when I was 14 years old when I went into the bookbinding,
hmm
and I stayed about 3 years in there. 3 years learning bookbinding and all that stuff. And then, of course, where I live was in proximity to where the police band was, or where the main police station was. Understand? And before that, the fire station and the police station were opposite each other, controlled by the same hierarchy, or if you want to call it that. Control the police as the same thing control the firemen at the time. But then later the firemen had their own hierarchy and the police had their own.
hmm
But when I grew up, my father was a fireman, and so would go I would go to see him or go take food to him or whatever. Used to have to take food, you know. When I got older, you could do that. Or before, I used to go with somebody when they would take me along with them to the fire station, you know. But over the years now, I would pass by the police station, which is almost like opposite. But what happened is that I got older when I got around 14 or so. No, I was 14 and I going towards to the job, which was the 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 book binding and so on. You pass by the police station a lot and stuff like that. So at some point, I saw this young fellow in the yard, the police station yard, and he got on police uniform, you know. First of all, we got fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Oh,
fatigue?
yeah,
You know
yeah, yeah,
fatigue.
yeah.
He
Okay.
would be in the yard wearing police fatigue,
Okay.
and he's a boy.
Okay.
And I said, wow, I like that. I got that took a pass right by the station.
Okay.
So then later on, I find the same fella, when the police band player, I see him playing in the band. And he's playing a flute. So I said, I want to do that too. I want to get in the band too.
Now you were 14, right?
No, I was going 17 then.
Going to- okay.
Around 16, somewhere around there.
Okay.
17. Because I did 3 years in the binding.
Oh,
So this
okay.
is now I got to be older now and yeah.
Okay.
So I told my father, I'd like to do that too, you know. And he said, well, I don't know, but he spoke to a guy in hierarchy, was a captain or whatever he was, that was the police station, and he probably talked to the police master, and so I got to going there. The next time they had taken in a group of people, I got to be one of them. You understand? So I got to go in the band that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But so were you an actual? So are you an actual cop, or you were just a band member?
Yeah, we had then. Well, when you first go in there, you're going as a cadet,
Right.
a
Okay.
band cadet.
Okay.
We actually play in the police band, right?
Mhm.
But as you learn to play, as you learn the instruments and everything, and you get proficient on and all that, while you coming up then, later on you get to, they will swear you in as a police of when you get older. So when I got to be 20 years old, they made me a police officer.
Oh.
So I had to go down to the headquarters of the police commissioner, and I had to raise my hand and swear to uphold laws and so forth and so on. Later on, we didn't always have to go then to go a whole lot of training and the thing, but then later on you had to do that too. One time the band didn't have to do it, but in more recent time, the band had to go and spend some time at the training school as well.
Okay.
Although we training school used to be like a band one time, so we still get some knowledge of what it was all about, you know. And the band even then had to sometimes do certain duties that didn't have anything to do with band. When there was any special event, we had to do things. Like, for instance, I had to check driver's license and so on. At a certain time, we had to stop the vehicles and check driver's license and registration, all that sort of stuff. And then there was another time we call it Janet. We had a storm, a hurricane, a storm that blow down people's houses and had flooding and all kind of things like that. And the band had to go there and leave the instruments alone and go out there and patrol and and take care of people out to see that they don't get looted
Loaded, right? Yeah. Okay.
and all that stuff, So
Wow.
then there would be stationed at different stations around the island. So I was stationed at if you know about it, you might hear about Top Rock. But you ever heard about Top Rock? But it's somewhere near the police, near the airport.
I've heard of it, but I don't know anything
So
about it.
I was stationed up there. One of those times I was stationed up there. I did my share. So I only reported two people in my time.
Wow. Okay. What's
Yeah.
the most dangerous thing that ever happened to you as a cop in
The most
Barbados?
No, well, it wasn't because I was a cop.
Mhm.
Uh,
Oh, see, juicy
the most
stories.
dangerous thing that ever happened to me, it caused me to pull out the cop. But
Okay.
see, if this is let me just talking normal anyhow. This is nothing.
See, now when you qualify with that, some stories coming now. Okay.
If you're talking too formally, then a lot of things will come in. But you just get a feel for what I went through from time on stepping up.
Yeah. Mhm.
No, but this what happened is only twice in my time did I report anybody. The first time, my brother and myself, by then I was 20 years old and small. I still small. So I guess most people didn't think that I was no cop. So I got on regular clothes, and we on a bicycle, because we used to use a lot of bicycles too. And I had my brother on the bicycle too. He's on the bar. I used to see people on the bar on the bicycle. So this guy, we coming out from where we live in a blind corner, They don't have those no more. You have to make sure that we have space that you can see around the corner.
Mhm.
But at that time, building was right up near the corner and you can't see in the corner. So you should go with caution because you can't see what's there.
Mhm.
And this taxi driver, he came around with no caution whatsoever and almost hit the two of us on the bicycle.
Like New York City.
Yeah, and I don't do that. So I said to him, listen, man, is that the way you come around the corner? You can't see anybody, could kill somebody? And he cursed me. And he started cursing me. So I said, all right, I'm going to tell you now, as a police officer, you shouldn't be coming around there like that. He said, man, you could be you could be a police rat. And he cursed me out. he cursed me out worse. So I said, yes, you bastard, I got you.
Oh my God.
So I took the license plate number.
Uh-huh.
And I went right to the police station, which was close to me. And I went there and I get the telephone. I said, I want to find out who this car belongs to. And they searched up and find the car. And I called up the owner of the cars. He used to have a lot of cars. I said, yes, this is the police. I said, we would like to know who is driving your car, such and such a number, at such and such a time. He said, okay, you give me the name. I said, thank you. Hang on. And I went down to the main and lodged a complaint against him. So the day come, now for the court hearing. Now I dressed up in police clothes, uniform. And I go into the court. And there he comes into court, and he's there waiting, and the judge turns to me and says, yes, police officer, now let me hear your case. So I told him, it was so and so, just like I told you, and this guy came with no regard for anybody, he came to a corner we can't even see, and I told him in a nice way that that's something he shouldn't do, and he cursed me out. And I said, well, I'm going to tell you now as a police officer, and he cursed me worse. He said, so he had to tell the police what he said, because he had to tell the judge. The judge like to know let me hear the words what he told you.
I'm gonna say, did you use
So he tell, you could be excited all the words. So police officer, you welcome. I said, okay. And then he took right off, and we had to get out the road. That's how. So I said I got to get him, and I got him. So the day while after I tell the judge turned to him and said, "All right, Mr. What do you got to say for yourself?" He said, "Your Honor, I'm ashamed to think that those words would come off my lips." So
Wow.
the judge said, "You think this young officer don't have nothing else to do but to come here to tell lies on you like that?" He said, "Well, I'm going to fine you so much money forthwith, or you're going to get a month in jail." And he had to sit down there and wait till his boss or somebody bring him some money.
Wow.
So that's the first person that I think as a police officer.
Wow.
But the next person that I did a police officer was I report another police officer.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
This other police officer, they call him a detective.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my father, I tell you, was a fireman, but the fire and police station are very close. You know, they got a close relationship too. But my father was retired, and we had rabbits and different little things like. And my father was working for another company after he retired from the fire service, and he was coming home one night with some things, you know, to feed the rabbits with, you know, some stuff that he. And this guy, he looking for somebody, think he don't know my father or nothing. And he accosts this man, he figures this man is old, he accosts this man, where you going with, what are you doing with that? And rough him up and stuff like that. So my father told me. I went on down reporting still too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just for no reason.
And he had to apologize to my father for it. That was not like reporting him to a judge. This was an internal affair.
Okay.
You understand? And he had to. My father come. He had to apologize to my father. And both of those cases, they went to the other guys from the policeman. "Oh, you got a young boy in there, and he's trying to." This is the first one. "You got a young boy in there, man. He's trying to lock me up." I said, "Oh, I ain't trying to lock up. He's trying to lock up himself."
Yeah. Right. So as a cop, you keep saying you reported them. You didn't arrest people as a cop.
Well, you had a
or
book to write. You write write
Okay.
up people in the book and stuff like that.
Okay.
You report them, but then you report how to go to the judge and things like that. The case have time for the case,
And then
and they have to
could
go to the
probably
judge,
go
and
jail.
the judge
Gotcha.
have to
Okay.
take care of the case. So a policeman can't be judge and jury like how they want to be here, kill
Yeah.
people and all that kind of thing like that, and think
Yeah.
that they can do everything. No, we don't deal with that.
Okay.
But
It's a
there's
good thing.
Look, my life has been long, so there's so many things. There's only a little piece. You know,
Yeah.
so many things that because even the police force is one thing, but except I didn't even talk about the band itself, which is a very big factor in my life.
So what was the police band's role? Like, what did the police band
Well, you want to
do
know
for
about the police band. You want to know about the police band, right?
Yeah, what did they do for
All
the
right.
police?
The police
Like,
band, I believe, was founded to be kind of like I like to call it a certain arm of the police force, which is like what we call it, say when you I forgot the word I want to call it. You know, when you want to be everybody they want to show themselves in a good light, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And put people out there that show themselves in a good light. What do you call it?
Mascots or
Huh?
like their mascot, like their spokesperson.
Yeah, well, that's like
a public relate, like
public
their
relations. That's the word I'm looking for, my
Okay.
dear.
Okay.
Public relations arm of the police force.
Uh-huh.
So, because the police force was formed from members of the community, you understand? Of course, the community was mostly black. It was very small amount of white people, you know, but it was mostly black people, but formed from all parts of the community. And then the police band played music because that was like also a recreation part too. You see, because whereas the policemen have to arrest people, we could do it too. But the thing about it is that we were mostly entertaining the people. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big form of entertainment for the country.
Mm-hmm.
So we would play in various venues, maybe in Weatherby Parks, or hospital or churches. When it's a hospital, not well, we would call it like places where we have the crazy people, you know,
The mental institution.
yes, the mental institutions, not the hospital, because hospital people are sick. You don't want to play too much for them.
Yeah.
But mental institutions and all kinds of institutions would play from different times, sometimes at night, sometimes in the afternoon or whatever, and we would put on programs for the people, So that was our main job as police band, you see, and we played for all occasions, like any special visitors, like if the Queen came there at the time, or her sisters came there, or whoever come there, we provided all the
The crazy thing is it was probably the same queen.
what?
It was probably the same queen, right? Like that's the crazy
Yes,
thing.
yes,
It's the same
yes,
queen.
yeah. The same queen.
It's the same queen. Like
The same
what the
queen.
heck?
She's been
I
around
know.
a long
That's
time.
It's the same
She's been around
queen.
longer than me.
Yeah.
No,
That's
so
what I mean.
so
I was
her
like
sister that
thinking
died
about
and all
that.
that stuff, So
Yeah. Uh-huh.
so
Margaret
we
or
play
whatever her
for
name was.
all functions. Whatever kind of functions we call them, ceremonial occasions,
Uh-huh.
and maybe having parades
Yeah.
and all kinds of things like that. So
I think there's a police band here that does the same sort of thing.
you think that what?
That the NYPD has the same sort of thing. I think like a police band. The NYPD has the same sort of police band. I want to say. Do
Police
they?
band?
Yeah, I think they have.
I
one. Like,
have
they do the
seen
same
them with
thing.
the bagpipe band,
Yeah, the bagpipes, or Irish tradition. But,
but
yeah,
it don't do the same thing like what we
yeah.
did. Or play,
I mean, I think they just play.
or
It's
play the
not
same
as. It's
sort of
not
things
as.
like what we
Yeah.
did, or neither does it serve the same purpose.
No.
They might play bagpipe when somebody they always got some kind of function like that.
Ceremony.
But we did more than play
That. Oh yeah.
for funerals when fellow people died and things like that. We play for the community.
Right.
And entertain the community.
Yeah, they're not
Different
doing
nights,
that here.
And we played all kinds of things, from hand, back, all the very high stuff. We play everything.
Nice.
From
Okay.
I say the shortest hair to the longest hair, or the longest hair, the shortest hair.
Okay.
So our programs will consist of starting with the concertos and and then we went from there. We go into the things like you play in the downtown Broadway, the Broadway music.
Mm-hmm.
We play all that, and then we go all down with the calypso music.
Okay.
So we go from the top all the way down to the bottom.
What instrument did you play?
I played the clarinet
Oh, nice.
and the violin.
Oh,
So that's
fancy. Fancy.
yeah, I went in. I learned to play the clarinet first, but there again, I studied music. I had music before we went in the band too, which I didn't tell you. You see, my life is so mixed up.
Yeah.
Back in my home, I grew up and found an instrument, a musical instrument in my house,
Oh.
an organ.
Okay. Who did it belong to originally?
It was an organ that you had to pump. You know, the big organs, they have somebody. The old organs had somebody, and they're pumping it in the back.
Wow.
Yeah, but you probably wouldn't know that.
Pumping it. Wait.
They were getting
So I mean, you have a foot thing, but somebody
this one
else
you-
was pumping
this
it
one
for
you
you.
pump it with your foot while you're playing
Uh-huh.
with your fingers,
Uh-huh.
because the pumping sends air into the.
Yeah.
That's how you blow air into an instrument.
Yeah.
You pumping blew air into the organ.
Right. But you said somebody else was pumping it in the back.
No, that's when you go to a big organ in the church.
Wow.
You go to church, all these big pipe organs
Mhm.
in the church. Well, they used to have somebody in the back. They'll go
Wow.
that used to pump that organ. But I
crazy.
believe they got electrical pumps in there that supply the air
Mm.
to the organs. You
Okay.
understand?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if you're playing an instrument like a clarinet, you got to supply the air with your mouth. You got to get the air somewhere into the instrument
Of course.
in order for you to get some music.
Yeah,
Oh, you
yeah.
don't want to tell me you want to give you a lesson on instruments now.
Yeah. But so you said that you translated to music when you came here?
Yes. So no. What I'm saying is that I didn't tell you when I was younger, before you even went to study the book binding, I was already introduced to the instrument, an organ,
Gotcha.
which I had learned to play somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Even
Okay.
before we went into the book binding.
Right.
So when I became 17, I went back into when I went into now the police band. I already had some musical training in my background. You understand? Which I got from learning organ at home.
Did you teach yourself at home, or did you have someone at home
my
who
sisters
knew?
before me used to play the organ.
Okay.
I don't know if my mother used to play, but I never seen my mother play. But why they have an organ? I was wondering. That's a question I got to ask my sister because she's still alive and she's still doing good in '95. Actually, if she know anything about how the organ came to be.
Yeah, yeah.
You understand? So
yeah.
I promised to ask her a question, but now it came back up. I asked her a question. But I came along and find the organ. That organ, I don't know how it came or whatever. But the organ was in there. It might have come after I was born, for all I know, but I know it was the organ there.
Okay.
And one of my sisters used to play for the church. You understand? So she had an organ at home. But she played the organ at church. My other sister, which is now 95, she's in 95, yeah, she's going to be 95 in December. She used to play the organ as well, but she didn't play the organ for the church. So I came along behind them and I learned something about music. So when I went to band, I was not a total, complete
Novice, yeah.
you understand?
Okay.
So I was able to move on quickly because I hadn't understand that. So you see, all my life was all tied up with here and tied up everywhere. So.
Right. Okay.
So I was talking about one thing and now I had to go back to the other about the music. So where was I?
You were saying how you went to the police band, but then you said that
You was talking about the
music,
band.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you said music played a part
Yeah, I
of
was
your
saying-
life when you
right.
came here.
So I was saying that what the police band, we were talking about what the police band did. The police band was a public relations thing, not only for Barbados and the people in Barbados, but as I don't even know, they didn't only do that for the Barbadians, but for the country.
Right.
It later on became public relations for Barbados itself. You understand? Because we traveled then to other places and people were amazed at the things we played. They didn't know that black people could play all these high stuff. So we're going to put some of them people in the shade. We went to all kinds of places in Britain. And all kinds. We went to a lot of places. We became known all around the place. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's as far as band is concerned. That what the band did, and there's a lot more you don't want to get. Each place has so many things to it. It can take you all over the place. Gotta give you a little piece here and give you a little piece over there. You understand? So it is now. It is through the police band. Haha. Enid, will you absent yourself? Not really, I'm only kidding. I met her. The police band is what caused me probably to meet her.
In what way? Like how? Like how's the connection? What's the
Well,
connection?
you know, the police band, all the girls used to like the band, because the band not only they play sweet music, but they had a pretty
So
uniform.
you trying to say your wife was your groupie?
I'm saying they had beautiful uniform and they were young, good-looking men.
Your groupie? Ooh.
And they're playing
That
music
shady
make
Mr.
people happy and
Shady
dance
Mr.
and
Stewart.
stuff.
Shady Mr.
So the
Stewart.
girls liked the band. I don't blame the men liked the band too. So the band was beloved by everybody.
Not touching that one.
Everybody loved the band. Huh?
Nothing. It was a bad joke. So I'm not touching that one.
Anyhow, yeah. So it was at one of these occasions that the band was playing for a function that when I met her, she was with one of my sisters and some more friends of hers and friends of my sister, and I don't even know if she knew. I'm not sure if she knew my sister, but she knew people that were with my sister. But we got a break
Mm-hmm.
from playing, and it was like a fair. You know what a fair is?
A fair.
You have a fair.
Yeah.
People having showing
Yeah.
things or whatever they do.
Uh,
So we had a break from playing, so I put my instrument down. And the fellas walk about for take up like a 15 minutes or 10 minutes break or whatever it is. So they walk around. So I saw one of my sisters not too far away. So when I put my instrument, I went by my sister. And lo and behold, I saw some people that I didn't know. One of whom I come to know far too long. But I didn't know that I was going to seal my no for
that one day.
another 70 years or whatever.
Wow.
But anyhow, to be fair, I have no regrets. So okay, so that's why I asked her to go to the room so I can speak honestly.
She doesn't seem to care. I'm pretty sure she's already like, whatever.
Nina, can you hear me? What you said?
She's not paying you any attention.
Yeah, so you see one thing linked to another thing to another. So the police band is at one of the functions that we had that I met my wife.
Okay.
You understand? And
That's a good thing then. So the band is a good thing then.
well, the band was always a good thing. I love the band. I mean, I tell you, I've been going back. When I go back unless I go to the band. I kept in contact with the band. Right now, I am in contact with a guy. He just called me a few days ago. That wasn't even while he was a little boy. He wasn't even big enough to go in the band when I left. I didn't know him. He was a little. He was a little boy, right? When I left, I was maybe 10 years old or something, but I didn't know him or nothing. But I understand that he was here. I find out later because I keep going back there to keep renew my acquaintance with people. Whole lot of different people move on and new ones come in.
Yeah.
Others move on, but I still keep it. That's by going back there. I always go there because that is something that etched in me. The police band is me. You understand?
Yeah.
The best days of my life just about police band.
Wow.
I like the playing. I like the music. How we interact with each other and the music. I had certain kind of things to play, and I graduated up to the E flat clarinet. This is one of the major parts that you have to play in band. Play a lot of the difficult parts in the music. The E flat clarinet. So I started with the B flat clarinet, which plays the most simple stuff, and then it could play a little chorus thing. But the E flat clarinet, when they moved me, my master moved me on up to the E flat clarinet where you play. That's where you learn to be a real clarinet player.
Wow.
Because that's where I have all the tough movements to the thing, man. When you leave there, you're a player. Yep.
Okay.
So I was fortunate, and then I got to learn to play the clarinet, not the clarinet, but the bandmaster wanted to get a string section in the police band, a string section, and he wanted some first start with a couple of guys to go and learn string instruments. and I was chosen to learn. I chose we started some violin. Started with a couple of violins, and there was two other people with me that studied the violin, but they didn't work out so good. I don't want to blow my own horn, but when I went into the police band, I went with about six people, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So there were seven of us then. And we had to take exams, and I guess I came first. And so I got to choose the instrument that I wanted.
Okay.
I didn't know none of them instruments,
No.
but I liked how the clarinet looked, and I chose the clarinet.
Okay.
So that's how I chose the
That's
clarinet.
okay.
I had the opportunity to pick what I wanted.
Okay.
So I picked the clarinet. But later on then my master wanted to think, so he picked me as one of the people to do the thing. And he had big plans for me, but I came and I told him I can't come back. I came and I got married and I can't come back. He wanted me to come back. He would push me all up to the top. I said, I'm married. No, I can't come back.
Were you still living in Barbados at that
yeah,
time?
I
Okay.
came here on a half pay leave. I came on 6 months leave
To
with
America.
half pay from Barbados.
Okay. Okay.
And I came here to get married, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once I got married, my half pay time ran out, and I didn't have to go back. If my time didn't go, they would have had to go back. But my time ran up, I had run. Because you got to sign up for a certain amount of years. When you was banned, you got to sign up for a certain amount of years at a time. You understand?
Right.
So
okay.
my time had finished for the last time that I signed at the end of the time when I got married around before that time.
Okay.
And my 6 months that I got half pay leave ended, ended before that time. So I didn't have to go back. He wanted me to come back, and I kind of can't come back.
So Mrs. Stewart was living here.
Huh?
Mrs. Stewart was already living
Yeah,
here, and you came here
She
to
came
get,
here
okay.
to her. She came here to her parents.
Okay.
But I just only said that I met her, but I assumed that you knew all about it. But anyhow, she came here to her parents. Her parents sent for her.
Right.
We got together after we met it down there, and got some years together, and we were close. But then her parents sent for her. I have to leave out 3 parts of my stories because my stories are too long. I got too much involved.
Yeah. No, I just I just was curious.
Yeah,
She was
but
living
anyhow,
here.
yeah. So she came to her parents, and then she sent for me.
Okay.
So she's the one. She's the one who caused me to be here in all this trouble.
Yeah. Causing starting trouble. No.
Yeah.
No,
So
you're better off.
anything you blame her.
No, you're better
See?
off.
Blame. I had to leave all my good friends and stuff alone for the love of
Love of a good woman. Love of a good woman. But speaking of you always mention that you have a large family.
Who?
You have a large. You had a large family.
Yeah.
So what's the oldest generation of your family that you remember, like grandparents? Like I was well acquainted with my great grandmother. What's the oldest?
I never ever seen any of my grandparents.
Oh, okay.
What happened is that when I was born, not before I was born, as a matter of fact, my grandmother, my mother's side, she died while my mother was big pregnant with me.
Okay. That's the same thing with me. My mother's mother died while she was pregnant with me.
Yeah.
That's why I only knew my great grandmother. I didn't know my grandmother.
And so
okay.
I was told that when I was born, I was like a grief child.
Okay.
They claim I didn't talk to nobody. I didn't talk for a long time. They was wondering if I was going to talk,
Okay.
because I was staying in the corner and I was just going to talk.
Right.
I was, they couldn't
Wow.
believe that I would wind up talking so much.
I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to say anything.
but I guess all that time they came. My sister that lives in Florida, that is 94 going 95.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one to get a lot of stuff from, but she was old enough
Mm-hmm.
to know what was going on.
To
So
me,
she's one
no. Yeah.
time that my mother was there. They didn't let her get out the car
Mm-hmm.
in the cemetery because they had another aunt that was wanted almost jump in the hole with her mother.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So they kept my mother in the car and said, well, you were staying there. So the thing that I don't know if my mother took on the grief and all that stuff. So I come out like that, very, very quiet and don't talk to nobody and stuff like that for a long time till I got old, I started to talk. But in general, I had to do a lot of things. Like some of the things you would like to know here nowadays, kids don't do anything. The parents, in other words, the parents like don't give the kids too much chores and make sure to do it. They kind of save them. I don't know, they're sacred or what, but growing up, we had to do things because
Okay.
not only for your home but for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to I had to sleep at a lot of old people, so I could be there, their little feet to go and make errands for them. And like the ones who was having children, some of the younger ones were having children that got me there in case that they had the midwife and they had to go need somebody with young feet to run and call the midwife,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And some of the old people I had before I go to school, I had to go to the store and buy things for them and bring it into their house before I leave and go to my house to get ready to go to school.
Wow.
Yeah, and sleep with them at night. So I slept with a lot of people at night. Yep. Some very old and some not so old. But
That's interesting.
and some young that I stay with, like I said, to go and get the midwife if they needed one or something like that. So I did a lot of stuff all around.
That's interesting.
So when I see people don't want to do nothing for nobody,
yeah.
and I had to put a lot of buckets of water on my head as a little boy, and maybe that's why I didn't get any bigger. At the time when it was growing, besides, that was the time it was growing, period when it grow. Like, oh, these big heavy buckets of water on my head.
So it kept you down?
Yeah. So now you understand why I'm small, but I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
I don't know if that's the reason, but okay. I'll buy that.
You buy that?
I'll buy that, yeah. I'll buy
okay.
that.
But listen, I have no regrets.
Yeah.
I have no regrets at all.
Okay.
God has been very good to me, and I have no regrets with that.
That's what counts.
So now you covered everything, right? You covered
well,
when she come here, and they come here.
Well, then that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to ask you. So since you were, so I'm guessing I was going to say, how has your wife and subsequently your family then changed your life? So she changed your life by calling for you to come here.
Yeah, because see, when we left I left everybody behind and come to a new place with new things. But then I fell back on the bookbinding when I came here.
Yeah.
That's what I did when I came here.
Okay.
Because you see, this place with this racist business and all that stuff, it was harder for me to get into music when I come here.
Okay.
See, although I was very proficient in music, but it wouldn't be that easy getting it.
I would have thought that would be the one thing that you could have gotten into because, there were a lot of black musicians at the time.
Well, but most of the time there were jazz musicians.
Jazz, yeah.
What I was what we call,
classical.
Classical music.
Classical, okay.
Yeah.
So I could see that then, yeah.
Classical musician.
Right, okay.
So anyhow, but what I was just saying. Oh yeah, so I went back into the bookbinding here, and that's what I started doing.
Right. Okay.
Until to cut it short, after I do the bookbinding is what I started out with here until I went into my own business. Because what happened, they found out that I could do all these things, And and when they were having a little problem, sometimes they would come to me because they used to do things on the side. They said, "Ah, we having a problem with this, and maybe you can help us out." But yet they didn't give me. They don't want to give me what to give the other guy. They don't want. No, they just want to use my brain, but they don't want to put me in any position and give somebody else to use my knowledge.
No, use your knowledge, yeah.
So
Wow.
I had the knowledge that I made things as well. Not only was I made a little machines and little gadgets to improve the production and all that. And I tried doing them at home, and then I try to bring them in and things like that. So eventually it came around to we had a part of the way because I said I don't want to do all this thing for them no more. I go just stick straight to bookbinding.
Yeah. Well, as you know, unfortunately, a lot of our black inventors go through the same thing. Like a lot of black American inventors have been overlooked, or their work has been given, like the credit has been given to other people. So this basically happened to you as well. Like the credit, like your credit
Yeah.
for doing the things
I
you
hear.
did, like a lot of other black people in America,
Yeah,
has been
because-
given to
because
someone
they-
else.
They started.
Mhm.
I hear good and I want to say blow my nose. I hear that we come up with a lot of inventions. I came up with a lot of inventions, some inventive things there, right? With little gadgets and stuff to improve the production. But I wasn't getting no credit.
Right.
And a lot of people I know that and black people in history
Yeah.
that have come up with all kinds of things. The guy with the air
Exactly.
brake and the guy with this body, the guy was drawing the plans and all for different places in I think it was in what do you call it? The places in it. Oh, she's sleeping. Body plans up there where the government is.
In DC?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
in DC.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so, but they don't get no credit, see?
Yeah.
So after a while, I said, look, you know what? I'm going back. I just going to do bookbinding. I'm not doing nothing else other than bookbinding. So we had this boss, this guy that is, he was a shop steward, right? You wouldn't know about that because you wouldn't do that kind of work. But in a place where you have a lot of workers, you have a shop steward.
Yeah.
Well, he came to me one day and he said, Stuart, the boss want to fire you. He said, but if you decide to go back and do what you was doing, he wouldn't fire you. And I stood up all 5 foot 1, 2, 3, or 4, whatever it was. And I said, if you want to fire me, that time we had the boss, the big boss, had a son who was an underboss, not far away from me. Although the place I hired about 100 people. And a big open place, I stood up straight to stall like that. I said, if they want to fire me, let them fire me.
Wow.
I said, look out through the window. I said, if you look out through the window, there got to be somebody out there that will hire somebody that know what they're doing. So, of course, I know once I said that, my doom was sealed. So that was the end of me and them.
This must have been very different for you coming from an environment like Barbados, where it was.
Well, the first thing in
Yeah.
when I come here, we used to have stools at the tables while we do the bookbinding. The table, the stool, and we had stools and sit down. When I come here to do bookbinding and I look around, there are no seats. You got to stand up all day long. No seat. And I started, don't tell me I got to stand up all day long. But after a while, I got used to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that when I got in my own business, then I was used to stand up all day long and sometimes night too. So that turned out to be good for me when I had my own business.
Mm.
But I'm saying that's how it went with me and them things. So I was gone. So after I was gone, because they had things and they wanted to copy I think they did copy certain gadget that I had made. I went down Canal Street and bought different pieces of pipe and pieces of gears and this and that, and put some things together and make something so I could speed up the production. And then they want to use they're using it, and it tripling the thing. We had 3 people doing something called Handles Messiah album, and that used to a thing that made, and you put all those, those records, those
Yeah.
the records. You put all those records in this container.
The sleeve. Yeah.
Yeah, and this container looked like a book.
Yeah.
But it's not a book. It has a back like a book and everything, but you put the records inside here. And we made them things, and I made the things who can round up the thing without, you had to handle it about 3 times. One body do this, the next body do that, different operations. But when I came with my machine, that you just, one person had to glue the thing, and you put it there, and you put the thing in there, and out. You do away with one person, and then triple the production with the other 2. And then they're just looking at all my machines, and they don't give me anything. I said, wait, so you have been using my machines, and nobody is telling me what, asking me what they want from me, and nothing like that. So these people insulted me. What do you want for it? $25? What the crap? A little piece of the stuff that you bought that make it was even $25. Never mind the idea. And then the making of it and all that stuff, and I started taking back my stuff. I took back my stuff, and then that's when he wanted to tell me, what if I go back to where he won't fire me? I said, let him fire me. So I don't want to fire me. I said, I ain't working for nobody no more. But I work for other places. I work for other places doing bookbinding here. And also, and then after I didn't like them, they fired me and tell me take this slip to the unemployment desk, and they put somebody in my place and things like that. So after a couple of days, I said, you know what? I am not working for nobody no more. I can work for myself, and that's how I come to go into business for myself.
Wow.
So it's my life is a big history book. It's too much stuff.
So that's interesting because you basically you kind of touched on the technology, like, of the things, like you've been through many decades of your life, right? So
Yeah.
And you were talking about inventing things. So how do you think you've like from the time that you were younger till now, how has technology changed your life in the world? Like, how has it made things different from what you remember?
How technology changed my life?
Yeah,
How
technology
changed my
or the
life?
world in general.
Or
Like
changed
like
what
how
I see.
like the world. Like, how do you see it?
When I came here, airplanes were in their early stages
Okay.
because I came here by a propeller plane. They didn't have jet planes,
Okay.
not for passengers. No, they didn't have any jet planes. Period. So we came here with propeller. She came here a year and a half or so before he came here. So her plane stopped in Puerto Rico, and then she came here. Mine stopped in this other place. I always forget the name. What she called it?
Bermuda. Okay.
Gwinnett, huh?
Bermuda.
Bermuda, yeah. I was overnight in Bermuda. So we were in the early stages of this plane.
Can I tell you something? What you're saying, that's funny. But when I first started traveling, for fun,
Yeah.
they still had those propeller planes going to the Caribbean.
But for certain places, for
yeah,
short runs,
that's why
short
that's
runs
funny.
and so.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But we had a long run from Barbados thing, so the short plane had to stop in either Puerto Rico or Bermuda, and then go to the United States. Because I guess it
You have to
couldn't
refuel.
hold that much fuel in the plane.
Wow.
So that's what that's my first experience with propeller plane. I think I might have gone in one since when I went to some other place and a short trip to another place, and we went to a place in the West Indies. Forget which place that was. When my nephew had an office there, he was a manager of
Antigua?
Antigua. And she said it?
Yeah.
Antigua. He got a job with managing a little airline
Okay.
in Antigua, and his mother. So me and his mother was in Barbados, so he had us come over there to see where he was
Okay.
and stuff like that. So other than that, he didn't go on a propeller plane. So that's so that's air travel.
So it made it easier for you to go back home once it started with more having jets and things like that.
Well,
it made
when
your,
I went back home, then I went back home by jet.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Because
It made,
I didn't
yeah.
go back home for a couple of years.
Mhm.
About over 3 years or so. I came here in 57, I went back in 60.
Okay.
And I went by jet. Then I went
So
by-
57, they didn't have jets yet? 1957?
That's not that I know of.
Okay. I mean, I don't,
Not
yeah.
if
I
they
don't-
had some, I don't know about them.
Wow.
Because why would they take a propeller plane from Barbados to you know?
Mhm. They probably had them for the military, but not for passengers.
Well, I know if they had them from
Yeah.
another part of the world, but I would think that it would.
No, they probably had them for the military, but they didn't have them for passenger
But,
travel.
no, but look, these jets were relatively new.
Mm-hmm.
But then they made them bigger, and
Yeah.
they made them different. They made them, what they would say, better or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But the jets were not a prevalent thing that I know about. And then, of course, I seen everything that go up to space and the Sputnik and all that stuff
Right.
like that. And I was privileged to be here under about, I don't know, it was about 12 presidents. I go back as far as Eisenhower.
Okay.
So it was
Yeah.
Eisenhower, and then it was Kennedy and Nixon and so forth and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So I seen a lot of changes in this place, and the more they change, the more they stay the same. And you know,
Yeah.
and like I say, if I was young, I would be one of the fighters out there in the street.
I used to be too. So yeah, as you get older, you're like, I'm tired. So yeah.
You know, but I'm glad to see that we still got some young people that still got some fight in them, because it's a damn disgrace that after all these years, even think how long that Martin Luther King died.
Mm-hmm.
Now 50 something years, somewhere about there.
Mm-hmm.
And we still fighting for the same thing.
Basically.
Still fighting the same thing.
Basically.
These people got a way of, they want the minority to rule the majority,
Mm-hmm.
and they decide that this place will always be controlled by white people, period.
Well, you know, a lot of the strife that's happening right now, a lot of the problems right now, is because they're afraid of losing the majority that they have. They're afraid of losing the majority that they have in this country. So that's why a lot of the things that,
yes, that is true. But
That's
why
why
they're afraid of losing the majority?
because they know that their superiority is not true.
Right,
They're afraid
they
of actual
don't
competition.
intend to do what the majority needs.
Yeah, well, but that's why there's
So they will always be in the minority, and they want it that way. They want it that way. I don't know. I don't know. You got one of my books?
Yes, I think so.
Do you read it?
I think I have. Or did you give me? You gave me a poetry book?
I don't know if I give you none. I asked if you got one.
Yes, I'm saying. Yeah, I've read it when you gave it to me. You gave it to me for one.
Well, if I
one
give
of
you
your
one and
birthdays.
you got it, then you don't want me to quiz you on it, but
No, no, please don't.
no, but really, it's a shame though. You see, because what happened here is they're afraid of a couple of things. One is that they know how they treat black people, and they're afraid that if black people get in charge, that they're going to retaliate.
Or anybody for that matter, but yeah, black people especially.
Well, that's a black people. I'm talking about
yeah.
all the Democrats, the whole mixture of whatever. You understand? Because it's half white, half black,
Yeah.
and all kinds of things, full black, all of them in that group. They figure that people that they discriminate against, that once they get into power, that they're going to take revenge. I believe that that's what they think.
Yeah.
But I don't think that will happen.
I don't
But
either.
I think they believe, because we have a saying back home, guilty conscience. Don't let white headers. So, you know what white headers. Anyhow, but people are guilty. They feel this is what we do with them people. We treat them bad. So they're going to exact vengeance. And so they figured they want to keep you all the time. No, don't let them get into power at all.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't do that forever. They can't do it forever
Yeah.
unless we let them do it.
Yeah.
But that's another story altogether. We're going down that road.
Well, actually, I was going to, since we're talking about events and, like history and things like that,
Yeah.
you've actually lived through a lot of different things and just what, like, over the decades that you've lived, what are some of the biggest things, positive and negative, that you remember, like big events
Well, some of the biggest things that what?
that you remember, like that you were there for firsthand, like some of the biggest things that have happened in history, like you mentioned Martin Luther King being killed, things like that, like what really stands out to you over the decades that you've lived, like in
Well,
history.
you know, it so happened that I couldn't do what I wanted to do because I came here, I had to start to look for a job and so forth and so on. And then I started getting kids right away.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do some of the things I would have liked to get involved in.
Mm-hmm.
But I was made aware of certain things that most black people were not aware of early on.
Not to interrupt, but you said you knew Malcolm X, right? You said you knew
I knew him
Malcolm.
personally.
Yes, I mean you knew
Not
him.
personally, but I since we could touch him.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go to the same place where he went to do our clothes and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he would be talking to the proprietor of the cleaning store.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go in there, and if he's in there talking to the man, he would stop talking and attend to us. And then we would see him then move from there then to the soapbox on 116th Street.
Mm-hmm.
And then he move on and on and on.
Because you lived in Harlem first
Yes,
before you
yes,
went to
yes.
Brooklyn, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so before thing was so big, the black Muslims.
Yeah.
And he started the Muhammad Speak paper
Mm-hmm.
and all that. So I knew him before he was known.
Okay.
And when I was supposed to go to hear him the day he got killed.
Up in Washington Heights.
Yeah, we call that place that the
Yeah.
Audubon.
Audubon Ballroom.
I was
Audubon.
supposed to be there.
Oh, okay.
I had my own business, and I had a guy that used to work with me, and the two of us were supposed to. I don't remember what happened. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I didn't go, but this guy he went, and he called me back frantic. Mr. Stewart, they just shot Malcolm. Because he was there, he witnessed it. And I would have been there, had I gone, I was supposed to go. But then I went and passed by his beer and looked at his coffee. I had him under glass.
Mm-hmm. When they had the
casket,
yeah, okay.
had glass
Wow.
on top of it. So you couldn't touch or anything, you could just pass and see. And I went up there and to the street and pay my respects and look at him because I knew him before he was known.
Wow. The Audubon, that's now a museum.
Huh?
The Audubon Ballroom is a museum now.
Is it a museum now?
Because I went to Columbia Medical School up there, and it's across the street from there because that's where they took him.
They used to have
it's a museum
up there and everything like that.
Huh?
You know? We used to have some functions up there.
In the Audubon, I had never been there before I started going to Columbia. I had never been up there,
yeah.
but it's a museum to him.
But
now.
then the next thing is another thing that was involved with. But that gets into another position of the ex-police association here, which I was one of the founders. So we
Ex-police association.
Ex-police association here.
Okay.
Members who were former members of the police in Barbados.
Oh, okay.
And then we came here. We formed this association.
Mm-hmm.
And then we took members that were police here.
Oh, okay.
And members were police in Guyana, but we didn't take them in. We helped them to form their own.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were, like for instance, we had members that were police here and were Barbadians. Some of them were police in Barbados before there were police here. And some were not police in Barbados, but they were Barbadians, are police here, and they're members too.
Right.
So that's another phase in my life that was big. You know, the ex-police association.
Wow.
We have to form that. And that's where, again, the police band came in. You see, I don't know, this would have to be something thought out to really know how you're going to deal with all these things in my life. You know, because the police band caused us to have an ex-police association here.
Yes.
Because the police band, like I told you, was the what do we call that thing of source of Barbados? The arm, the
Public relations.
yes, of the associate of Barbados. So what happened? It used to go different places and represent Barbados, and it was on one of those occasions when it was doing that job, it was representing Barbados in the United States, and they went to Radio City Music Hall and performed. They had a performance at Radio City Hall. At that time, I had already come here and living here because it was about 5 years after I left Barbados Band. And then they came here and they put Barbados on the world map. They came here and had performances at Radio City Music Hall.
Okay.
Because Radio City Music Hall is now the capital, more or less, of New York, but not just New York, the world. Because if you go there, you'll be known all over the world.
Okay.
And that's where they went more on the world stage. Although they've been going other places before, but that was the biggie. So the guys who were here like me, who were former members, after they finished their thing, we had a little function for them. You understand? And we put some money together and had an evening at a little place for them. And then we invited some other guys who were here from the other police force, also from the regular police force, but it was the police band members who actually were the ones who did it.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
So people like me that was from the band and a couple more fellas that were from the band that were here. So when we were having this thing for them, some of them fellas knew some of the other fellas that were not in the band, but were policemen. So we invite them guys too. And then it was at that occasion, we had such a good time that this was the idea came that we should form an organization. Because we were living all kinds of places, spread all over the place. And back in Barbados, we were like brothers all over the place. We were really close. So once you come here now, and one live in Brooklyn, the other one live in Queens, the other in Staten Island, all over the place. And we never had that relationship. So after we had this function for them, and we had a good time, the idea was born. And up until now, we're not sure exactly who was the first one with it. But the idea came about, and you know what, this is such a good thing to get together again. Maybe we should form an organization of people of like minds, we're all ex-police, and we can get together from time to time, make an organization. And that's what was formed. And I was one of the chief people in there.
Wow.
And then later on, we brought bands from Barbados here.
To perform? To perform?
Yes.
Okay.
We brought bands from Barbados here because we used to down a place called St. George Hotel. That may be too old people.
Yeah.
Down there, we used to fill that place. It was overflowing, outside overflowing. People, you never know where some of those people come from. Yeah. So we were saying that, so we formed this group. And like I said, when we have regular dances, not at St. George Hotel, we used to have, it used to be packed to capacity. There was nowhere for nobody to stand, and all outside people wanted to get in. And for years, that's what we did.
Wow.
But then we used to have also occasionally, I think we have a dinner dance. which was more classy thing, where you all your finery and everything like that, you know. And I remember we used to got the cordon bleu.
Mm-hmm.
That you heard about the cordon bleu.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then we at another place called the Americana Hotel in Brooklyn. But the Americana gone out of business some time ago. But that was a big shot hotel down there, Americana Hotel.
Wow.
And yeah, so so we used to have some great times.
Times, yeah.
Yeah, big time. And I was president a lot of the time. I was president early on. No, I not was the first president. So I didn't want to be president. I just want to be a good member. But after I see the organization was not going quite like I would like to see it go, I want to be associated, I jumped in and then I became the president. So I was the president and I was in charge of committee, you know, what do you call it, of the committee, like the person in charge of committees and different things like
The
that.
chairman.
Chairman of this and chairman of that.
Uh-huh.
But I was also the president for a few years and things like that. So it was a big thing. So that was a big part of my life too. So my life got a lot of milestone.
Okay.
The police band, the ex-police association, and the place where I do the bookbinding and the other places that I work at bookbinding at and functions. I used to make ties also, bow ties and regular ties, and sell
Like in
them.
a factory?
And sell them. Yeah, I used to make them.
Or yourself, not in the factory, yourself.
Yeah, I used to make them when I was doing my own business too. I did.
Oh,
My
okay.
business wasn't just thing, you know. My business, business was not just upholstery.
Right.
It was upholstery. I made ties for people and some lawyers and things that only used to wear bow ties, and not no bow ties with no clip. You had to tie them.
Yeah.
And I had to figure out how to make the ties so that when you tie it, the knot will come in the right place and all kind of things like that. I had samples of the patterns for the ties and all that sort of thing like that. I had a lot of tie things going, man.
Wow. Okay. That's the way you have to do it.
Huh?
That's the way you have to do it. When you start your own business.
I had a lot of things going in my life. I can't even tell you what. And then the children were at school. Like I said, I would go to the school for, parent teachers night and all that stuff. I didn't wait for just saying it to go. I go and I establish relationships with teachers.
Yeah, that's good.
And
You have to do that.
one teacher in particular, a woman, I established a relationship with her. And all the children in Harlem, I was living in Harlem then.
Mm-hmm.
Was going to schools schools around the area in Harlem. But she said to me, you know, you shall not have to go to. That was when my son come to like junior high, you know. So he don't have to go to no school. He can go to school on Central Park West. You know what Central Park West is?
Yeah.
That's where that guy got killed. The guy with the Beatles.
John Lennon.
John Lennon, because he lived in Central Park West.
Uh-huh.
They had people with Lord Doorman and everything like that.
Yeah.
And that was school up there. She told me you could go there. And she gave me two schools to go and look at and choose the one I want to send my son to. And that was out of my area. And I went there. I went to that school. And these two schools, when I look at them, I choose one. And I sent him there. And he was going to school with friends he had doctors, friends, and lawyers, children, and all kinds of things like that there, so that he was going to school with over there. So then we moved to Brooklyn, and then he went to Winchell.
Oh, okay.
But when they were younger, you should remember that Mary Poppins.
I know. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Don't tell me you don't remember it.
No, I remember Mary Poppins.
You
I
gotta remember
hated that
something of
movie,
Mary
but that's a
Poppins.
whole. I hated that.
So then
That's a whole other
Mary
story.
Poppins was going over when my kids were little,
Uh-huh.
right? And I would take them to see Mary Poppins and all that. So I was playing my violin at the time I used to play in churches and so on. So one time I decided I'm going to play my violin for their school.
Oh.
And it was in Manhattan. And I decided I would play the violin for the school. So I told I call it headmistress, they call it the principal, I call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing my violin over there. So I got with a teacher that could play the piano. And the two of us got together. So when I would go on the platform to perform and I would ask the kids, they had body assembled in the assembly. Yeah. And I said, how many people went to see Mary Poppins? He said, oh, did you like Mary Poppins? Oh, yes. So what did you like? I like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, and they all say they like this and that. Or I said, all right, so you like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious? All right, we got to play that. So they get my violin, I tell you, say, oh, we got to play a super. I said, yeah. Oh, and I would play. All right, I want to hear another one. Who got another one? So then they would all shout out which one they want, and then I would play the one that's chewing. And when it was all done, they call. When it was all done, she called my kids up to the platform. What do you call it? Called up to the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Called my kids up to the stage and tell the people, "Oh, this is Mr. Stewart's children," And I guess they were kind of proud. So this is Mr. Stewart's children, so, and they stand up and sing. So that's all part of my life.
Wow. Okay.
You see, so that's one of the highlights of my life. I did my kids, and I carried them to see the Yellow Submarine and all those things like that. But and the same guys, we call them fathers. The boys that come here, all them.
The Beatles.
Yeah, the Beatles. They carry here the Beatles and all that.
The British invasion.
I carry them where the City Music Hall
Okay.
to hear the Beatles and the Yellow Submarine and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that's another.
So you were part of the British invasion. So you went to you were at the beginning here of the British invasion. You went to see the Beatles.
You want to call it that?
You and 1,000 screaming women.
I saw when they first come here and everything, and went on this guy's show. She's the one who remembers.
What's his name?
She will tell you. She will tell you.
Ed Sullivan.
Depending on her to tell you them things.
Oh, okay.
Cause she's a TV person.
Ed Sullivan. Ed Sullivan.
Yeah, so this is a part of my life, and it's all good. It's a lot of things I can look back on, and I look back on the children growing up, and I played a lot of violin for a lot of churches. Mm-hmm. I played violin for a lot of different churches, and on Sunday afternoons and stuff, they're having programs. But like I say, it was classical violinist. So want to play Mozart or Handel or somebody or whoever. And so my violin time, and the thing is, I had a violin and clarinet in Barbados. I didn't have no clarinet here for a long time. So I just played the violin. And then one day, Sandy buy a clarinet and give me.
Oh, okay.
So I still got a clarinet, but something is wrong with it. I got to get it checked out. Mm-hmm. But the violin, I haven't played it too much for a long time. I miss all this music. Music was my life one.
A big part of your life.
Yeah. So it's a good thing to have something in your life, because when people don't have, I have so many things in my life that I can look back on. If you want to classify them as, I got the still band because I say up to now, some of those guys that in the band I wasn't born when I left there. Right. But yet I go back there and we can still have some sort of a relationship as a former a band. And I got a fella in the band. No, he's not in the band now, but he's living in Barbados that I contact with because he used to, he never left the band, right?
Mhm.
He lived in Barbados all life. But when he got older, much older, he came here, he married a girl from here, from New Jersey. But then later on, he retired from there and took the lady with him in Barbados. So they lived half of the year in Barbados and half the year here.
Oh, okay.
But since the COVID, he couldn't come back and he had a problem coming back. So he decided, you know what, I'm getting old now because he's older than me now. He's about 93 now.
Mm.
And he said that he, going back and forth, maybe I don't know if I coming back. So he hasn't been back. So he said he don't know if he coming back or not.
Mm.
So I guess she will have to leave her son here to take care of stuff. But he's still there. But he still go back and forth. I even went to Barbados a few years back, and the bandmaster let him conduct the band. And he left the band ever since.
Wow.
But he never left the band. He left the
Yeah.
band, but he never left
You
the
never
band.
leave the band. You never really.
I left the
go.
band, but I never left it
That's
in
what
my
I'm
heart.
saying. You're
You know,
never
when we
leave
go
the
there, I
band.
have to go and see the band. I have to
Yeah.
see who's there.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
But that's it. There's something I was going to tell you, and I remember what that was. Oh, but there's so many things bubbling over. There's too many things. So
So.
I said the band was the band.
Mhm.
You think, I was telling you a joke about the band.
Mhm.
One day I was home here at Clarkson Avenue, and my doorbell rang, and I went. I said, "Who am I?" Doorbell. I go to the door, and I see two policemen. One was a white shirt policeman, one was a regular blue shirt. Which means one was a captain.
Sorry. Yeah. Rank. Mhm.
And I said, "What do you have this one?" So I went, I said, "Yes, how can I help you?" He said, "Are you Mr. Stewart?" I says, "Yes." He said, "You in the police band home in Barbados?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Me too." that was the captain.
Wow.
That was the captain. Me too. So I hear about you, so I come checking you out. so this guy, he had retired from Barbados Police Band. He came here, he got a job at King County Hospital, and he went up the rank to become a captain. So people talking, telling about me.
So he was a hospital cop.
Yes.
Okay.
So people telling about me, and he come to check me out.
Wow.
So since then we became good friends. He played the same clarinet. He played clarinet like me.
Okay.
So we became friends. So we call each other and talk and different things like that, you know. But when I left, he was too young to go in the band too.
Yeah.
But got people that weren't even barely born when he left. They still talking too. So I try to span the generations,
That's a
you know.
good thing. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
That's why I said you never really leave the band.
No, I never leave them. Can't, or the band won't leave me.
Yeah.
But I wish I could play like I could play then, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So is there anything special you want to know? Anything particular that you want?
Well, I was just going to ask you, since you're talking about, like all these things, you're talking about a lot of different things. Is there anything that you regret not being able to do in your life?
I regret not being able to do?
Yeah. Is there anything that you regret that you didn't do in your life now that?
Me, that I didn't have a chance to do, or
Yeah.
that I did and don't do anymore. What you mean?
That you never had the chance to do ever.
Oh, I
yeah.
see. What? Well, one of the things is travel more. I haven't done much traveling. I always say that I would like to see the motherland. I would like to step my foot on some part of the mother. I know the motherland is so big that you would have to a couple of years, I guess, to explore that place. But
Do you have any clue to where your people came from in the motherland?
No, I really do not know.
No. Okay.
I do not know. I I never had a chance to really go and explore that.
I just didn't know if it was different, because here they destroyed all records of us. I didn't know if it was the same everywhere, like if every place they destroyed all
Well,
of the
some people, like say, like for instance, they'll drop off people from a certain place in Barbados, and some of those same people from the same place will drop off in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And that's why they call those people their Geechees.
Yeah. Well.
And they're just like the same West Indians that we have. This,
Well,
they
we
came
all
from the,
got we all. Well,
came
I
from
mean,
the same. I told them came from a particular part.
yeah, but I mean, a lot of like I shouldn't say a lot, but I know that there are some islands in the Caribbean where they kind of know where they came from, like which major portion of Africa they came from. Whereas in America, it's more mixed, and they sold us to different places, and so there was more of a mix of
Well,
where we would
I
come
think that what happened is that in America, but you're talking about America. No, we ain't talking about America because
No, but I mean for
talking
you,
about
did you?
back
Yeah,
home.
did
Back
you know?
home.
It,
You're
it,
talking about back
it
home.
may be more less. It may be more homogenous.
That should have been the easiest to find out, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't pursue that, but that's something worth thinking about. If I can dig that up, find out exactly what part you came from in Barbados.
Yeah.
Well, they don't think Barbados had too many different kinds of people come from too many different places.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
wasn't that big.
Exactly. And the people you're talking about in South Carolina, the reason why they're more homogenous is because they were from that Outer Banks, like that area in South Carolina. They put them in a specific part of South Carolina, and they were all more like on the outer skirts where they didn't send a lot of people, so they kind of stayed to themselves and homogenous.
But I think they came around
but the rest,
on sandboats and stuff.
So that's I mean,
dropped
it
them
may
off in
be the
Barbados
same, and I don't remember what part of
Yeah,
Africa they're from, but yeah, they're mostly still
but we call them Geechees or something.
They do. That's just it's not a negative word, but it's like a slang word, that we use here. It's a slang word,
but everybody don't use that word. But there's just, I guess, if you call themselves Afro Americans, or that's what we all go by now. We went through all the changes of black. You went through changes of what we used to call it before?
Negro, colored,
people,
all of that.
Colored people, and it was. I ain't always. I don't know all the names that you used to call. I don't remember a lot of them. So that's it. So I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to ask me in particular.
Well, I just want just a few things, like just your your view of history in the future. Like you mentioned, like I'll just ask, like, what do you see as what's your vision of the future? Like, you see where we are today. Like, you mentioned past presidents before. Like, you've seen a lot of them. You said you've seen like 12 presidents or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, how does your view, like what is your view of just some of them? I mean, the past president, we don't even need to talk about him, but how has the presidency, how has your view of different presidents changed? Like, how were they different? How were they the same? Like, how have they influenced the world?
I will tell you a little something, maybe not exactly to the question that you asked. But if you go on my place, you will see that I have on my wall a lot of black people.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Which I chronicle the history of a lot of black people and their struggles. That's why you got more black people than anybody else. You hardly got anybody there because there's a few people that I still don't have the thing to put up there because they don't have it like have it done like the others. But the question you asked me about how my view changed or something.
Well, the reason why I was saying that is I was just wondering, because I personally think America is on a really bad path. So I'm just wondering, America is on a really bad path.
Well, I was asked that question before. If I think that we on going on the right path or the wrong path or whatever. Look, this country, in my opinion, has always been for black people on the wrong path.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
It is just because of a few people. I remember in the Bible when they say that God was going to destroy the country,
Mm-hmm.
and he said if he find 12 good people, that he will destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
And he says no. So if you find 10, we'll destroy it. So
Mm-hmm.
go down to no. And you go all the way down, you couldn't find 5 good people.
Yeah.
You understand? But I'm saying that this place will only hold together because of a few committed people that really want to see right in this country.
Right.
What we see just went down there, we almost flipped into totalitarian state
Mm-hmm.
with the man that we had in here before as president. And what we see is the big lie, and it's all because of a lie, because he used a lie from the beginning, saying that if he lose the election, it was stolen,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's the point of having an election if you know that you have to win it?
Yeah.
Huh? And that if you lose, it's stolen. So what's the point of having the election then?
Well, the more interesting thing about that though is that all the people that tried to back him, right? All the other people of his party that backed him. You're saying that the election was rigged and he lost. So that means that you won, your election was rigged as well, but they don't see it that way, right? Like, so that means the whole thing is rigged all around either way. But see, that's my point. It's like, this country was never on a great path, but it's starting to be on a bad path for everyone. So I feel it's doomed. So that's why I'm like, what is your vision?
I'm saying that I'm trying to make a comparison
Right.
or just to suppose what happened in the Bible time
Okay.
when the place was going to get destroyed.
Right.
And they say, well, if you find so many people, you won't destroy. And you keep going down the one who was interceding, having intercession with God. Well, if you find so much, I said, I can find. I couldn't even find 5 people, so it get destroyed as the then time. They didn't
Right.
destroy it all together, but they had the flood and had this and that. Now, all I'm saying is that we have some people, maybe not enough, but that is trying to hold this place together, trying very hard. But the forces that want to change it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you call it want to change or want to keep it as it always has been.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always been a racist country. They don't want to
Definitely.
hear that. But it's always been a racist country because white people have always controlled it no matter what. And then even when they gave black people the right to vote after fighting a long time for it, they had the right to vote, but they still couldn't vote.
Right.
Because the grandfather didn't vote.
Right.
They had the right to vote, but your grandfather had to vote, and he didn't vote. He couldn't vote, so
No, he lived in North Carolina, so I doubt it.
then you had to deal with the with the poll tax.
Mm-hmm.
You had to do all kinds of things, something blocks in your way. But then you change something else, and then you think like you winning over this one to come up with something else. And now this last thing they come with lie, saying that all these people, why is all the black people the only boy can lie? And then the black people lie and they do this and they didn't do nothing. You understand? But they're doing that just so they can do what they want to do.
Right.
Did you hear the speech made by the Attorney General?
The new one or the
new
real
one
bar?
last night.
Yeah.
Night
No,
before
I
last.
didn't hear
Okay.
it. No,
You
I didn't hear it. No.
Well, he's talking.
I
about
probably will watch it later.
what he's going to do to try to help correct that.
Oh, I know if they have some sort of initiatives going. Like they have a bunch of initiatives
Yeah, but
going
he's
for
still
like these
saying
sort of
that
things.
We got to to make it more permanent. They got to have the Congress come together, but the Congress,
It's never gonna
thing
happen.
supporting Trump or what it is, not the House, the Senate. They didn't have intent to do anything.
No.
No. You can't depend on them for anything. So try and see if they can turn this mansion, see if they can try to put some sense in his head.
It's not just him though. They're turning it off all on him, but it's a few of them actually.
Or there's more than
yeah, but they're using him.
It
But
isn't just
it's
him.
actually also Biden.
But
you know,
you see,
it's actually also Biden.
No, but if he changes, other people will follow him.
I don't know because I don't think that Joe Biden really wants to change. He wants to use Joe Manchin as a scapegoat. He doesn't really want to do any of those things because he's in bed with the same people Joe Manchin is.
Well,
really
you got to remember
Mm-hmm.
where he come from, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? You got to remember when it was Dixiecrats and all this kind of thing. Well,
Isn't he from the same state as Senator Byrd?
He might have to change his mind, but when you got to look at one thing, they're all white.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
basically.
You see, they
Basically.
all are white.
Mm.
And racism is what's ruling the day.
Mm-hmm.
You can call it white or whatever. White and racism, I put them together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And why we don't get as much support as we would like to get is because some people, whenever all is said and done, these people doing it for us, the white people, and I'm white.
So
I might want to do this, but all in all, first and foremost, I'm a white person.
Mhm.
That's how some of them look at it.
right.
Not everybody look at it. I'm a human being, and therefore, whatever hurts human beings or me. No, some people say first and foremost, I'm white. So these people are fighting for the white people to stay in power where they are, and I'm white. So, but some people decide that no, regardless of whether I'm white or not, I'm going to work for what is right.
So having said all that, where do you see where do you see like the world just in like where do you see this world, because the world itself could be also just said to be on a bad path with global warming and all sorts of things. What do you see?
Global warming,
just in general, just a lot of things that are going on. What do you see? What is your vision of the future? Like, what do you see? Like the your generations.
Certain people don't feel that global warming is real, but I believe that it is real. I believe it's real. We've seen some manifestations of the fact that we do have global warming. It may not be as big as some people want to wait till it get real big to see, but you got to catch things before they get too big.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's so many.
It's hard to talk about a vision of the future.
Warming. Look, what I don't want to do. We want to do electric, go more into electric things and do away with the combustion engines, right? Because the combustion engine, they claim do offer up pollution. The electric engines don't do that. I know people like me still like the combustion engine because the power and all that stuff like that. And I like the power. But
then that means you've never driven in a Tesla, because that car has power. A Tesla, that car has power. The electric car, the Tesla. You were saying power, yeah. That car has power. Oh
car?
Yes. Oh yeah.
It got power.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't checked it.
Yeah.
You got it?
I don't have it, but a friend of mine had it. And he said I'm going to show you how fast this car can take off. Are you ready? I said, oh, okay. Stomach, feet. Yeah, it was crazy.
It takes off so fast.
So it's possible. It's possible.
But of course, improving these things all the time. But that's the way they want to go. But if they don't make cars that got power and electric, they won't get people buying them. Well, people want power. They like power.
Well, I think but the problem I think more is the stuff that what's going on with like the politicians and everything. They're in bed with some of these fossil fuel companies, so they don't want to fund, clean things.
All of them empowered.
The only reason why that particular car is more powerful is because the person behind it is rich himself.
Look,
that's the only reason
they're
why.
all empowered with everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we can't get nothing passed in the legislation.
Exactly.
A lot of them people going there, they didn't have no money, going to come out the rich. Okay? Because they're getting money from the people who tell them, look, this is what I want, and you make sure that you don't vote for nothing else but this.
Right.
And then they get money.
Okay, so then I'll ask you in another way. Do you think the revolution's coming? And if you do, what's going to happen at the end?
The revolution.
Yeah.
If I think that the revolution will be revolution, mean that
Mm.
that or my people, if you will win this revolution,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, win it.
well,
Yeah,
we have to.
yeah, basically.
It'll be tough, but we have to. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
see myself living in a place with these autocrats. You
I
know.
mean, we are already under autocratic and plutocratic rule
Huh?
now. We're already under autocratic and plutocratic
Well,
rule
I
now,
mean,
and it kind of
what was
sucks.
the other one you
Yeah,
call these other ones there now?
yeah,
Maybe they're more than autocrats. What do you call them?
plutocrat. Oh, well, we're already under that kind of rule
No,
now, and
what
it's
I'm talking-
terrible.
no, well, I know what I'm talking about. I talk about
Dictators.
Well, that's the same sort of thing.
We almost had one
Yeah.
last time. We almost
Yeah.
had one last time. So I just really have two more questions for you, really.
All right, tell me them quick.
So who has been? Can you name like who's been the biggest influence in your life?
Who was the biggest?
Or
influence?
if it's like a person or like an event, or
Oh my goodness!
it doesn't have to be just one. It could be like,
You mean outside of my mother and father?
yeah. Well, it could be them. If it's them, it's them. Yeah, if it's them, it's them.
Both of them in different ways.
Okay.
My mother was the one with the spiritual side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she taught us to believe in a God that can do impossible things. And when one of my nephews, my nephew, my same sister that in Florida I tell you about, not gonna be 95,
Mm-hmm.
when her son daughter got killed.
Okay.
This is her granddaughter.
Right.
What you think? And I was asked as a senior man and then speak at the funeral. And that's one of the things I talked about. What my mother instilled in us. Because I wonder why you could still be so calm under these circumstances when everybody will be mad and trying to tear up the place and all kind of things like that. And the mother of the guy who killed the girl, she was at the funeral.
Wow.
She went to the funeral, and the boy's wife embraced her. He lost her daughter. Her son killed her daughter, but she embraced the murderer's mother. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to talk about what was instilled in us. It included also the same boy that lost his daughter. Understand? So we were taught that if you really believe in God, you can make the impossible possible. Things that seem, and make the crooked straight and all that sort of thing. So in that way, I got that kind of ground in the spiritual side from my mother.
Mm-hmm.
From my father, I got something different. My father is the one that taught us all when we couldn't even hold knife and fork. He taught us to use knife and fork at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Taught us to sit round at the table and learn etiquette and all that stuff like that. And why a lot of people didn't know to use no knife and fork or sit down at the table, especially on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
He taught me that. And he taught you responsibility and that kind of thing. So, and then eventually, like I said, he used to take care of our shoes and when we were little and make sure they polished and take care of everything. That kind of way. He was that end of it. But that is from the home. But you talk about somebody other than that.
It could be from your home, but it could be also.
All right, but that's basically from them.
Mm-hmm.
But there are the people that had a big effect on me. There's some people that I have to tell you about that have a big effect on me since I came to this country.
Mm-hmm.
I come to this country to her. I didn't know anybody. Went to school at night. I went to school at night to get my high school diploma, and I met a guy while I was going to school that took me to meet. He took me to meet some people. One was a reverend, was a woman, and her husband was the assistant reverend. Her husband, it was a switch. I hadn't seen that before, but that's what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
She was the pastor, he was the assistant pastor. And this guy at school that I met, he said he called himself bishop. So I don't know what little church he had or where he had a church before. But when he found out things I could do, he said, I got to take you to meet some people. And I said, okay. And the people were in the same block that I live. They had a little church in the same block I lived. And these were reverends and thing up there. And what they used to do, any offering they get, they used to buy stuff and feed people in the block, poor people in the block, and get them clothes and all that kind of thing like that there. That's what we used to do with the orphans. So when he took me to meet them people, they were very impressed. Oh, you could do this, you could do that. Oh my goodness, that's great. Then accustomed to know black person being there playing violin or black people doing carpentry or doing all these things. So I said, wow, you should be in business. I said, I just come to this country, I can't be no business, I don't have no money, can't afford to rent no place and all that. So I said, you know what? We got a place downstairs, a sub-basement, but I can take you downstairs. So the husband and she's all taking you. Let me take you downstairs and let you look at this place. And if this place could be of any use to you, you can use it for business. I said, okay, I went down there and I saw the place. The place was big enough. The ceiling wasn't too high, but then I'm not too tall. So, so I did make my best furniture down in that place.
Wow.
My best furniture, I made like a wardrobe and all kinds of things. A nice coffee table. I made some of my best furniture down there. And then as my business got better, so we just want you to do good. We just want you to grow. And that's all they wanted from me. So we don't want nothing from you. We don't want no money. We don't want no rent. We don't want nothing. We just want you to do good. And then as I start to make things, he said, you're going to have to get some place a vehicle to take your furniture and thing out and so forth. I said, yeah. He said, well, it'll come. So then, after a while, I did get a van, right? And that van I still have today. That van was 54 years old.
That van? That's that van?
That same van.
Wow. Okay.
And
I know the van.
when I get the van, the first thing I did, I bring the van up and park it across the street, and I went upstairs. I went upstairs. I said, "As a small," that's what she called herself. As a small, I want you to see something. I want to look out through the window. I see that van across the street, spanking by. Just bring it from the dealer. I say, I want you to put a blessing on that van for me. And she put a blessing on that van. So that van must have been a good blessing. 54 years.
That van's older than me.
54 years later, I still got
Wow.
1967, yes, in January.
Yeah.
I still got that van there, and she must have blessed that van real great. So that is one of the things that I remember. And the thing about it is, she says, well, now you have that van. We go to convocations, different places every year, and we meet. So maybe you can take us, we don't have a big church, but you could take some of the people down to the convocation. I thought, but before you say yes, there's something you have to know. You have to charge us. We got to pay you. Otherwise, we don't want you to take the bus. I don't pay them nothing for the place. So they don't take nothing from me for nothing. And they tell me the only way you can take us anywhere is if we pay you. And furthermore, you taking us from place to place, not from bus station to bus station. So we got to find out what Greyhound will charge from station to station, and then you deserve more. And if you don't want them conditions, we don't want you. And when you get there, you board and lodge and everything is paid for. You don't pay for food or lodge or nothing. That's the conditions. If you can agree to them conditions, then we will take you.
Wow.
So you think I can forget them people?
No, those are good people.
Can't forget them at all.
Yeah.
Can't forget them people. I had to
Wow.
get into fight with another reverend from a big church, with a lot of churches. I had to tell him, I had to talk toe to toe with him. Let him know that the best people that I ever seen in this world, cause he learned, what do you call them people? What do you call them people now again? What do you call the people that?
Jehovah's
You
Witnesses.
know, call them people?
Jehovah's Witnesses.
Not Jehovah's Witnesses.
No.
No.
Pentecostal.
What's he call them?
Pentecostal.
Pentecostal people. He
Yeah.
don't like them. He said, no, they don't want from Pentecostal. No, Pentecostal, we will blah, 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 blah. I said, well, the best people I ever know is Pentecostal people. Them show me the love of God, and they show me what God's love is really about in actual fact, where big churches never show me. So them is the people, I said, so if you say anything about that, not to me, because I'll take you on. So he was a big thing right there. And I know what the Bible say. The Bible say, judge not, that ye be not judged. So you don't go judging these people, saying that they're this and they're that. I said God can do whatever he want, whenever he want. He didn't have to do it just for some time in the past. He can do it now. You know, so me and this big reverend, we had this big ding dong thing.
Wow.
His,
Yeah, you don't find many people like that.
his wife was a woman that used to play with my beard when he had some big black beard. But they had nothing to do with it. I had to tell him straight, no, but he's the best people I ever see. Most Christian people I ever see. And that's why I will never say nothing about those people. Let God judge them himself. Because the Bible also say, let the wheat and tares grow together. And I, the righteous judge, will decide who is wheat and who is tares. So don't tell me about Pentecostal people in this or that. No, you can't determine that. So I represent them people. I got them in the book. I give them some kind of recognition in the book what they did for me. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. Never charged me a cent for rent when I was able to move out there and go in my own place. And they were so happy. I couldn't be happier.
Wow.
So when the guy died, and then his wife died later, yeah, and up there. So now I don't know what happened with where the business, the church. When I went back up there later, I moved too. So when I went up there later, the church is gone. So I don't know where the people that had the church then, where they're gone to. But I could never ever forget them people. You want to know about the love of God? Who you know do things like that? They didn't know me. They're regular American people. I'm West Indian. And they just took me and so give me a place to work till I could get a place for myself and make sure that I had to charge them. They actually pay me what I pay me. And if I was taking it, they wouldn't let me go and all that stuff. And we had a good relationship until they died. So that's another thing that
Those are good friends.
that's another place thing that I really cherish in this place that that has changed. No, that I hold it. So my idea is freely have received, freely give. Somebody help you, you gotta help somebody else. So you understand? You can't just accept help from people and then you don't help somebody else. You need to help somebody. And that's what my idea is. If you help somebody, your living won't be in vain.
Right.
And that's what I believe.
So flowing from that, then the last question actually is,
Yes.
then, what do you think has been the biggest impact that your life has had, and like what do you think has been the biggest impact your life has had, and who have you influenced the most through your life, through that philosophy?
I don't know. It is not for me to determine the impact that my life has had.
Okay.
You know, because a lot of times you will never know what impact your life has had. sometimes it seems like people wait till after you're gone, you know,
Yeah.
to talk about what you were.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you don't get your due when you're alive. The Bible says a king got no honor in his own country and all kinds of things like that.
Our saying is make sure you give people flowers when they're still alive.
Well,
Yeah.
that's one of the poems that I have in that book.
Oh, okay.
My mother used to say, give me my flowers when I can smell them.
Yeah.
And I have it in my book. One of my accomplishments, although it has not reached where it's supposed to reach yet, is that book that I write. I believe that God inspired that book.
Mm-hmm.
And I like people that take the book because it look pretty and they put it on the shelf. But the book is not a book to go on a shelf. That book is a book to be read because it has so much stuff in there about everything. And if you read that book properly, you will know more about me than you can know asking me questions. It got about my meeting her, my marriage to her. It got about my children and my 50th anniversary. It got about everything. It got about me leaving Barbados and the policeman. It got everything. It got about the country and places in the country. You know, it got everything. It got about, and it got about this country and its racism and what we can do as black people to overcome the racism for ourselves. It got all kinds of things in there. I recite a little bit to him that's in the book, and I'll give you just a tiny tip of it before you, because I know you're at the end of the thing here. So I write something called Anatomy of a Nation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what anatomy is? You're a person in biology. You know anatomy, bisection, dissections, and all.
So you were saying anatomy.
Anatomy of a Nation.
Okay.
I just give you a little taste of what this thing is like that I write. And there's only one of them.
Okay.
So it started this. How could we, in this great land some like to call the last and best hope of man, be so presumptuous to believe that man's inhumanity to man is not unjust, but merely an expedient plan, and that brave souls having had their spirits beaten into the ground, and then, lacking the supernatural power of the great themselves from their predicament to extricate, must somehow not be sprung, but left to suffocate and die in their excrement, where they lie as the stench reaches to the sky. That's just a preamble, so I don't give you understand. Brave men were lynched, and their women raped, as their children stood helplessly by. These angry souls with their spirits crushed could hardly even cry, yet on they went, with no relent. These indignities and injustices to overcome, but found no rest, or even sympathy in their quest. Only you must be blessed with less. Can truth be built on lies? Or can abandonment give rise to solid ties? Can justice be oblivious to the cries which from the graves of our ancestors rise to blend with those which from our living tombs echo the same refrain of debts not paid and wrongs not righted? Amnesia and forgiveness always expected though unrequited, while assigned to states sometimes worse than natural death. We brave souls go on bereft of all that we would hold so dear, and bewildered at the fact that we may to dust and ashes go, without a chance to know or even to show the abundance of the talents which on us the Master did bestow, when all the while there are others that seem have little or nothing to give, are honored, celebrated, and compensated as long as they would live. It seems as though our tears and fears have not lessened with the years, and we sometimes wonder whether God sees, hears, or even cares. I won't bother to give you no more, but that's about
Wow.
that. That
Wow.
is about part of it.
Yeah.
And that is in the book.
Okay.
And it goes on to say more and talk about how the Indians were, taken advantage of, and then the black people were, and all it goes on, all of that. I could probably recite the whole thing, but I don't want. in the interest of time, I don't want to say any more. But then it's talking about a blueprint for liberation, what black people need to do. It's talking, but what they need to do. I'm saying so slavery is gone, subjugation, segregation subdued. Racism is still rampant. So what should we do? Should we lie on the ground where for so long we've been thrown and hope that one day a little pity will be shown? If we think of the various buildings, or we call them, which for or oppressor we have built, or the many dangerous jobs during which our blood has been spilled, these and other things, when we think of them, cause us to groan. Whilst a large part of the a large part of the population is very little unknown, and something like that. It's talk about a lot of things, But then it talks about how to get yourself together, talking about we must vow to love each other, and so on. Even the ones that we don't see eye to eye with, and if we don't, and if we don't see eye to eye, we must not get upset, and then we may gain each other's respect and all that, and all this kind of things like that. It's all. And then after we do all of that and we reconcile to each other, then we can march arm in arm for heads held high, and never ever again be afraid to die. You think I'm one of those crazy people. I said, but die we must. It's only a matter of what time, but we must leave a legacy of progress behind. And I thought, well, when our leaders emerge, they make us so proud. But the other people say, this cannot be allowed. So they plot to rob us of our joy, and in almost every instant, our leader they will destroy, like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and all of them. If we destroy their leader, they will all run like rats, while we'll be waiting to devour them like cats. While for another generation, they ponder their plight before another fool will have the guts to step up to the plate. They ponder their fate before another fool will have the guts to step up to the plate. What they're saying is that we'll all be afraid when we see what happened to the leaders. We'll all be afraid to step forward to lead. We must inform them that this time their luck has run out, and that come hell or high water, we are going to win the next bout. That leaders as well as followers, each and every one of us must be, and that never again will we be destroyed separately. And it goes, I'm trying to remember some of the stuff here, but these are things that are very potent things that I got there. And it talks about unjust justice. In some places we call halls of justice, stands injustice deeply entrenched, towering like the pillars in the building structure from which so-called justice is dispensed. Long delayed and often forgotten is what justice should truly mean, and the integrity to pursue it, sadly, in these courts is seldom seen. What we have are some justice. I said justice is not retribution or demanding a pound of flesh, and so forth and so on. But what we have are some district attorneys struggling for the moment of fame, and in the process trampling justice and acting as though it may only a game. Lives are lost as their concern is just traveling up the rudder wrong by wrong, with no thought for innocent parties or the dead bodies declared to be put in the ground. It's talking about the district attorneys. And then I talk about also everybody. They talk about even the people in TV. Even them people do their part too. You must read those things because they cannot, there's a lot to remember. Although I could remember, so I don't say these things too often. I don't always remember everything word by word, but these are things that are powerful. I got things about my mother, I got things about my father, got things about all kinds of things. Men got to step up to the plate and be men and show their children some love and stuff like that. So that's from the men's side. There's a lot of what can I tell you? There's so many things in there. I just guess if you promise to take a minute, take a little time and read, but it is more than what you think it in there.
Right. I think I know I have one of your poems framed in my office. I said I know I have one of your poems
Yeah.
framed in my office,
Yeah.
but I have to see because
Which one is that? Which one is that?
I can't recite it off, but it's you gave it to me and it's like in a white frame and
But if you got the book,
but I think I don't I have to
because you know, you got a whole history of two lovers and how we met and all that. That's one thing. But all these things I tell you about this, what happened in unjust justice and all that stuff, and anatomy of a nation, a blueprint for liberation, and all.
I'm not sure you gave it to me. I have to look, and if you didn't give it to me, I'm going to call you to tell you that I want one.
Well, you want them? You see Sandy book?
Huh?
Well, I give my children a book, but they didn't seem to do nothing with them.
No. No, I'm going to look, and if I don't have it, I'm going to call you to tell you that I want one. Because I don't remember you giving me one.
No, because if you had a book, I'm telling you, that's something that is worth reading.
Mm-hmm.
I can just give you a little rough idea, but
Right.
it is worth reading that book. And I sold out the first set that I bought, and I bought a lot more books. Because I was going to Barbados, I went to Barbados and went on TV and television and radio in Barbados.
Oh, to promote the book?
Yes, but I didn't intend to do that. That happened. That was happenstance. I went to Barbados, just as I do, to see my friends and so on. And I went to visit somebody who I had met here that brought a group of children here at the consulate. And I met her. So I said, well, anytime I go to Barbados, maybe I'll shout you. And I went to Barbados to shout her, and I had published the book. So I took a few books to me with Barbados. And I said, let me call and see if I reach this girl. And I reached this place. I said, well, she don't work anymore, but I know where she works. She's still with the government, but I'll give you the number where she is at the government. So I called her and she said, yeah, come over. And I went to see her. I didn't go about no book, but I in talking, I told her that I published this book. And she said, oh, you got a book with you? I said, yeah, I got a book here. So did you speak to Mr. Lovell? Mr. Lovell is the man that was in charge of, he was at the CBC radio and television station, right? I said, I don't even know Mr. Lovell. She said, all right. And she was at her desk. She said, oh, give me a minute. And she picked up her phone and she called the station right away while I was sitting out there. I said, I got a guy here from the States, man. He got a book here. But maybe you should have him on. And he must tell you all right. And what they agreed, and I went back home to my place. And the next day, I got a call. The CBC. I said, yeah. I said, yes, it's good afternoon. What are you talking? He said, you're Mr. Stewart? I said, yeah, Mr. Stewart. He said, how you doing, man? And he's talking to me like if you know me ever since, And then after he talked and things like that, anyhow, by the way, look, let's get to business. What you doing tomorrow morning or something like that there? So, could you get over to the CBC studios tomorrow morning? And it was early. I said, well, I don't know, but the people I'm staying with, I'll see if they could get me over there. So I asked the guy, Enid cousin. He said, yeah, I can drop you over there. The rain was pouring, but he get me to CBC, must be about 5:30 or something in the morning. And they followed me up and all kinds of stuff like that. And get me where they said, you got 2 books? And they give them 2 books. And they give them to the people that are going to interview me. While they're fixing me up, they'll scan through the books and stuff to see one of the books. And then after a little while, and it was ready for me, they come and get me and took me in the studio. And put me in a chair and hooked me up and all that stuff like that. And then they started. Good morning, Mr. Stewart, and so forth. I got, and they give me a tape of it. So I got a tape. I think Sandy got a copy of the interviews that I did there, both the TV and the radio interviews. So, but I didn't have no books, because I didn't plan to do no books. You know, so it's just one of those things that happen. But then when then they wanted to have some people come back home to Barbados. They had something called regathering, and they used to come back to Barbados. Who have, you know, let's just say Michael. They come back on the months that's St. Michael, and all this kind of things like that. And then the COVID come. I buy all these books. I buy 1,000 books.
Wow.
And I got the 1,000 books there. Almost 1,000. Now, because one or two of them thing. So, and I was intending to take some books at Barbados then, and then I would push the book then. But then the COVID come down and you can't go back to Barbados and you know, we can't do nothing. Stuck me in my, so I still got the books there.
Wow.
But they will get to who they're supposed to get to. You know, so the books are there. But that's, things happen in your life automatically. God has been good. He's a big thing in my life, which I probably haven't mentioned, is the center of my life, believe me. All the things that he's done. But all the people don't believe there's no real God and all that stuff, I will have to disagree with them. Because there's too many things that he did for me. When I came to this country, I didn't know they was going to stay here, because when you come on 6 months leave, you have to go back to your job. Even if you get married, you go back, and she had sent to bring you back in. But the reason why I didn't have to go back, because I went down to the immigration to find out if my papers were in order, that I could go to Canada and visit some people in Canada and then get back in. And when I went, I asked him, I come to see if my papers in order, I can get back. He didn't answer me. He just looked at me. He said, would you like to stay in this country? He knocked me off my pins, because I didn't expect to stay. I expect to go back home when my vacation done and come back later on. He said, would you like to stay in this country? And after I composed myself, I said, well, could I? he said, you just wait right there. And he went in the back and pick up some papers. He went and come back. He went back and get what he get, and he come back to me with these papers. He said, take these papers home and fill them out and come back, bring them back to me. When I took the papers home, Enid's mother said, no, nobody don't do that. Nobody don't do that. He's telling you wrong. We got a lawyer here filling out papers ready for you to bring you back in when you go back home. And they bug me. So, no, he's wrong. This body office at the immigration tell you wrong. So I go and I pick up my papers and I go back down to the immigration, right? I go back to the man at the desk and I got the papers in my hand. I said, Mr. Palmer, do you hear what I tell you? You hold at me. You hear what I tell you? And I said, I'm sorry. So I went back. I take the papers back home and fill them out.
Wow.
And then I bring them back to him. And he said, well, now, I tell you, your papers are all right. You can go to Canada and you can come back. But when you come back, I want you to have a job. Are you supposed to work when you're on vacation?
Wow.
He said, bring you to get a job. And if anybody come and ask you anything from immigration, tell them to talk to Mr. Palmer. And he was a black man. So I say he must be very powerful, man. So then, you know what? A couple of months, I don't know, maybe it was a month after or 6 weeks. I don't know how it was. One day, my mother-in-law went down in the mailbox and said, it's a mail here for you. When I opened the mail, my green card's in there.
Wow.
And I didn't spend a penny. I didn't do nothing. And all the lawyers that was trying to get to do this for me, it didn't make no difference. That was it. So that's on the first thing that happened with me when I come here.
Okay.
And then the next thing happened with me was the people I stay with reverence that I meet. That
So
do
another
this thing.
influential
So
person
I said,
in
God
your
has all
life.
been looking for me.
Okay.
Another thing, that building that I have, and I didn't have no money. So I'm telling you, nobody don't tell me nothing about God, because I can tell them that He is a God that do miraculous things and they believe in. So that's what I believe, okay? So you whatever that's it. And I can't get, nobody can turn my mind. Because too many things. When you put them three things, them are the three biggest things in my life. And even with my wife too, cause he's too sensitive there. Cause I say I didn't want to get married and be like people, getting married and then you divorce and you break up and all kind of things like that. I said send me somebody that tough. That can deal with toughness. and you sent me somebody tough that was pretty good looking too, I think. At least used to be anyway.
Wow.
I didn't send me more than what he asked for. so with all those things, there's nobody can shake my feeling that there's a God and a real God that hears you and a God that is real and not just imaginary. So people believe whatever they want to believe, but I believe what I believe. And I know what I believe because I prove it too many times over and over. I tell this man that you want to tell me that I go down there, the man from Adam, he ain't know me. And then when I went back, when I went back to tell him thanks, So I gone back to show him I say I want him some kind of, when I get my green card, right? I gone back to him, I said, wanted to show him some kind of appreciation some way. And I went back to Mr. Palmer. I said, Mr. Palmer, I came to let you know that I got my green card. I want to thank you. And I would like to show you something. Oh, no. And he looked at me endearingly. He says, I only wanted to help you, that's all.
Aww.
I just wanted to help you, that's all. And the man didn't know me from Adam.
Yeah.
And what were these people that in the church that didn't know me?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. You met some good
and
people.
how we get that big building when there was a lot of Jews that wanted it. And I thought I was going to get it. She said, I can't tell you yet, you can get it. And I saw my falling down. And how was it that I needed a Venetian blind company when my landlord was a Venetian blind manufacturer? And that was a big part of my business. I used to get him to make them, and I used to make the measurements, get him to make them, and then I would sell them to my clients. And now the government took away want the building that he owned, my landlord owns. The government want that whole building for urban renewal, and we all had to move out. And he sell all the equipment to some Jews downstairs, some Hasidic Jews, and I didn't know nobody I could get to make my blinds for me or not. I didn't know another blind maker. And then when I did find a place after a long time, got 5 minutes, when I did find another blind maker, he had it was a Venetian blind company that I found. It was Venetian blind company, and I had my own Venetian blind company. Okay. So you want them if they ain't God, and I didn't know where to get the Venetian blind from, and I get my own company. Okay. So I got no reason not to doubt him. So I believe in God.
Well,
I believe in God forever. Amen.
Well, on that note,
so you see, you got 2 minutes.
No, it's been good to talk to you, and it's good to. It's been good to talk to you on that.
Yes,
note.
darling. I would like to talk because I got so much to say that it take me a few years, but
yeah.
But I hope you got something.
I did. We did get something good. Let me just.
All right, darling. We know each other.